Now, when the government made public bodies publish their spending online, it turns out one group of people were particularly glad to see the information: criminals. Con men quickly got to work, posing as contractors to scam hospitals and councils for millions. Now, as our business correspondent Sarah Smith reveals in tonight's special report, the fraudsters are turning their attention to private businesses too. And their simple scam is costing us all millions of pounds.
Early one London morning, the police are chasing a new kind of criminal.
It's mandatory to wear body armour now for everyone's protection.
Fully kitted up, they're not taking any chances.
Right, can everybody come in? Let's secure the premises.
DI Simon Russin is taking the lead in the City of London police's search for a different kind of fraudster, and they've found their latest suspect. A man suspected of allowing £160,000 stolen from a university to go through his bank account. The desk officer tells him why he's been picked up.
Somebody has asked for bank account details to be changed. Money has been diverted to those bank accounts, and some of that money has gone into accounts held by yourself, or believed to be held by yourself. Right, and the officers want to question you about that. Do you understand that?
While this suspect is questioned, police are learning more about a new type of fraud. It's so simple it's hard to imagine anyone gets away with it, but they do every day.
Police are shocked by the sheer scale of this fraud. It's not just public bodies, private companies, many of them household names, are also being taken for millions. And it's happening so often, the police have had to create an entire new crime category to describe it. They're calling it mandate fraud.
So what is mandate fraud? Well, on the surface, it seems too simple to be true. The fraudster contacts their target, saying they're calling from a company that holds a contract with them. They will introduce themselves as the new accounts manager at that company, maybe give a new phone number. Then the sting. They send a letter saying the company's bank details have changed. All future payments need to go into a new account, which is actually controlled by the fraudster. The NHS and local authorities were early victims. It is our money that's being stolen. And it's happening because government policy makes it easy for the criminals. Public bodies have to publish details of their accounts, and those details are then used by fraudsters.
Public servers throughout the UK have an obligation to place upon their websites, public-facing, who their suppliers are for the purpose of transparency. That, of course, is something that the fraudster is always very observant of, and they will try and take advantage of wherever they can.
Places that can least afford it are losing out. This is Medway in Kent, where the cash-strapped local council was one of the first victims. 2 years ago, they lost £256,000. And here's where the money went. The man in the white shirt, Robert Fenton, just walked into his bank and withdrew 60 grand over 3 consecutive days. He was jailed for 2 years in March. So this is CCTV footage from inside the bank?
That's correct, and this is Fenton withdrawing 25,000 in cash.
And no one asks any questions if you walk in and take out 25 grand and walk out with it in your satchel?
No, he had the money in his account. As long as they're satisfied it's his account and he's got the money.
The money wasn't in Fenton's account for long. Most of it was quickly, electronically transferred to the masterminds behind the fraud, disappearing into a maze of untraceable accounts. The fraudsters tricked Medway Council with nothing more than a simple letter.
This is the actual letter that was sent to the council, which caused the money to get transferred to Mr. Fenton's account.
There's not much to it for a fraud that netted them so much money.
It's quite simple, but the company details are correct, the company numbers correct, and it fooled them.
Farzand Nassim conned more than £8 million out of banks using a very similar scam. He was released from prison in March and now says he deeply regrets his crimes. He wants people to know how to stop this happening, so he described to me how he carefully set up his victims.
At the end of the day, you're dealing with a human. It's not a machine, it's not a computer who's going to, just give a yes or a no answer. It's a human, and once they've spoken to you and you're from such a company and they're doing business with you, for them it's a trivial thing, changing over a phone number, changing an address for them, but they don't understand the impact that is going to have.
The NHS have been hit particularly hard just when they need the money most. 21 separate attacks targeting £10 million of taxpayers' money. Hospitals, embarrassed to have fallen for such a simple fraud, didn't want to speak to us. Sunderland Teaching Primary Care Trust did spot the crime just in time. Their experience shows us exactly how the scam works and how it can be stopped.
We suddenly received a letter purporting to come from the construction company. It looked fairly bona fide, and they were requesting us to change account details. Interestingly, there's a follow-up phone call 3 weeks later, chasing up payment of 3 outstanding invoices.
An eagle-eyed accounts clerk spotted small mistakes that showed this letter was not genuine, preventing a £3 million loss.
£3 million, well, that would buy 1,500 operations, 3,000 day cases, over 20,000 outpatient attendances.
NHS Protect, the Health Service's counter fraud and security service, have now spread the word, and they believe criminals are finding it harder to scam health service targets. So as the public sector wises up, the con men are moving on, widening their net to include thousands of private businesses. After that early morning raid, DI Russon now has a fast-growing case file.
We've got communications companies, we've got a supermarket, we've got a builder, we've got a hotel chain, education, local government, NHS, universities. There's some large amounts.
This is a preventable crime with just a few simple precautions.
Be aware that if you get a call, if you get a fax through or a letter, email asking for a change of bank account details, that you can't take it on face value anymore, that this is almost likely now to be an attempt at fraud.
Huge sums of money are being stolen. In the last 6 months, over £150 million has been paid out, and new attempts are being made daily. Fraudsters probably can't believe people keep falling for their scam, but as long as they do, the criminals will keep on trying.
And you can read more about mandate fraud and how to avoid it on our website, channel4.com/news.